Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment.
This is All Energy Breaux Keller, and you're listening to the MGB Wrestling Podcast.
What was your thoughts on the first event and also with you winning the Primetime Pro Championship?
That was honestly one of the more special experiences of my career. I know I said earlier, even my inaugural match with Twisted Tate at Atomic was something special. I think that very first show of Primetime was right up there with that experience because it seriously... It was the hottest of hot days that you could possibly imagine.
Yes.
In that room, just drenched in sweat. I drove from I forget where it was. It was the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, to try to get there. So I believe stupid early that morning, but it was very well worth it because we didn't really know what to expect. I was like, all right, cool, it'll be another show. They said it was sold out. We'll have a few hundred people. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So immediately I was excited. But with any new promotion or any new shows, you don't know what to expect really. You have these expectations, of course, but thankfully this show lived up to and then surpassed all expectations that I could possibly have had going into it because the crowd was electric. Everybody was on fire. It was so unbelievable from the very first match to the very last match. Which I am very grateful to have been in. I was in 3 different matches that day. O'Shea Edwards, awesome dude. He's such a gifted man as well. He thinks about wrestling very similar to me, in terms of, how can we interact with everybody as much as possible? How can we give them what they want? While also still keeping them on their toes, not making everything too expected. And then Ariella Nix, which actually was the second time in 2 weeks that I had wrestled her. So that was fun as well. But then it's so hard for me to describe the feelings of that main event because I was in there with Isaiah Frazier and he deserved to win that match just as well as I did, if not anybody else on the roster, because he is so incredible. He's so amazing. And him and I have this weird chemistry that we click very well because we didn't get to talk much before that match. We had 2 other matches each before even getting to that one. Yeah. So there was very little time, if any at all, that we could even plan anything. But we put a couple things here and there, but then just the chemistry in the ring that we both felt. I can honestly say that one match is probably my favorite that I've ever been a part of.
I can believe that easily.
Afterwards, it was so incredible. And as you guys know, the crowd was into it the whole way through, which made it even more special. Going back to what we were saying earlier about an empty arena versus having an audience. The crowd in that room and everybody's energy and just the total atmosphere, you could feel it. And I think there might have been a point, it was either that one or another one. I'm pretty sure it was that one. I looked at one of the cameras around the ring and I literally was rubbing my arm because you could see the goosebumps that were standing up on my forearm. It seriously, it was so magical. I can't even think of any other words to describe it. It was a very special moment in my career. If I had to retire today, I could hinge on that match and show people for the rest of my life. I was very lucky to be a part of that.
With it being the 1-year anniversary of Primetime Pro, and we talked to Gator last week, I went back and watched that whole series and watched all those matches. That final was crazy. The whole room, it was a perfect split. I know they say you're not supposed to have Vince doesn't seem to like face versus face matches. That would be a perfect argument against that. It was a perfect split between the crowd. Half the people were cheering for Breaux, half the people were cheering Isaiah. Then it broke into both these guys, and the whole time. Now, somebody, I think it was on our review actually, and I'm not sure if I picked this up from Twitter. Somebody said that Isaiah whispered to you or spoke and said, "This is so much fun." And I could totally believe that. Both of you had like big smiles on your face the whole time. Like you could tell it was just fun to be in. The moves it was a fantastic match. And just the end, once you were actually crowned the champion as well and you got the belt, it was just non-stop. It was absolutely awesome. Yeah, I'm going to say, definitely got to be a highlight of the career for sure. I was going to ask, how did it actually feel that Jayden actually put that much trust in you? Basically, on the first match, he put that championship on you straight away. How did that feel?
It was surprising. That's the first word that comes to mind because he had spoken to me. I don't even know how long it was prior to that, but he told me like, "Hey, this is what I want to do. This is where I see things going." And I was, of course, in the moment like, "Yeah, let's do this. I'm all about that." And then in the back of my mind, I was like, "This is incredible." Like I don't know what like in that moment I didn't know what I did or you know if there was something that I had said to him that maybe like sparked some good favor in his eyes or what, but I was just so very surprised but also humbled at the same time because he had that faith in me. He entrusted me with that championship and going out there and defending it, you know, 3-4 shows, whatever it was, you know, moving forward. But to get it and to shake his hand and hold his hand because anybody in, you know, prime times happenings because Lowe's probably one of the coolest people I've ever come across. So both of them as a team, they worked very well together in organizing everything and just putting the entire show into what it is. I mean, that's a good tandem right there. And when my name was called, it was one of those things where, you know what, this is my opportunity, this is my chance, so I'm going to jump on it, I'm going to take advantage of it, and we're going to make something happen here. And that's exactly what we were able to do.
You have since lost that title to O'Shea Edwards. What are your goals when Primetime Pro Wrestling returns?
Man, O'Shea cheated. He knows it. You guys know it. I know it. But no, I mean, if there's anybody I'm going to hand it over to, he's definitely deserving. Moving forward, I mean, I don't know what the future even holds at this point. When we're going to get shows, when I'll even have the opportunity to perform in front of an audience. So right now, to be quite honest, my goals are really just, you know, staying in shape, trying to, you know, stay cardiovascularly.
That works.
Right? That sounds right.
We got you.
Yeah, that works.
That's a broism right there.
Yeah, exactly, right? So no, just trying to, you know, keep exercising, eating right, and just staying ready because it could be next week, it could be next month, it could be quite literally 2021 until it's just a matter of staying patient, but also staying the course. So, I mean, that's really where I'm at right now. In terms of primetime, whenever it does come back, I mean, they've got these new tag team championships. So who knows if that's something? I know there's the 51st state title.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some options once we get back into things.
Now, it's also kind of a shame where it finished. I have skipped through some of the Atomic stuff. I went to the very last match because I saw it was against Tim Donst. And Tim Donst actually turned on you as well. So that was something that was one of the stories that was going to get told as not cool at all. No. Now, I am more curious though. I did notice, and I haven't had a chance to watch these. I saw you lost to Dame 4 times in 2019. Now, I haven't seen any of those matches, so it might just be like O'Shea, perhaps he cheated. What's the deal with Dame? It seems like he's got your number right now.
But no, it does very much seem like Dame has my number at this point. We had a good handful of matches throughout the year, and you're not wrong. He's definitely cheated in probably 3 of those 4 victories.
Oh.
Again, I know it. He knows it. Everybody else knows it. It's on camera, but hey, I don't make the rules. I try to get my rematches, but it's not the way to roll for me at Atomic. But no, Dame's somebody that deserves a lot of credit too. I mean, that guy is always trying to push forward and advance himself. We even had the opportunity to tag together a couple times at crab wrestling.
Yeah,
which was fun. I think we have some good chemistry as well, him and I, being a tag team. And I mean, his story is something crazy. He was, you know, born in Kansas, this and decided, you know what, I want to do this wrestling thing. Moved out to California to train under Brian Kendrick, and then he came back over to the East Coast where he's at now. I mean, he's just been all over the place, just really trying to, take advantage of all of his opportunities. So I do respect him, but in terms of our matches at Atomic, it would be nice if he'd stop cheating so I could win fair and square.
What was your reaction when you found out you were in the PWI Top 500?
Another time where I was just surprised. I think there's a little bit of a trend here. Because I honestly didn't see that coming. I don't even have, it's going to sound bad of me to say, but I don't have a subscription to it, so I don't get it. I couldn't read it and look for myself, but I saw, as you guys have probably seen, every other wrestler's like, oh look, I'm this number, I'm that number, I'm that number, which of course I did too once I found out. But but no, somebody, I think they just posted it. They put a picture up and tagged me in it, and it was a moment where I could honestly say, this is going to sound corny, but it kind of makes me a little emotional thinking about it, because so many people, they don't, and I didn't either until I started it, but they don't quite understand what independent professional wrestling is. You say, oh, I'm a professional wrestler, like John Cena, or like Hulk Hogan. And it's yeah, that's clearly the goal.
Yeah.
But, like any actor or even musician, you have to build your way up.
Yeah.
You don't just get to, your first hit single is not going to necessarily win you a Grammy, or, your first movie is not going to get you an Oscar. You got to work your way up, take smaller roles, find opportunities. And that's what I correlate to independent wrestling. So with the PWI, it kind of, it's a way for me to show people hey, this is serious, this is real. And according to a couple of people that put this list together, I can quantify the effort, the time, the sacrifices that I've made doing this professional wrestling, whether it be in front of those 14 people or if it be in front of 400 people or 1,000 people. I can actually say hey, I did something and this proves it. This is showing that I'm going in the right direction. So it quite honestly is. It's something emotional and something I'm proud of, because that like every wrestler, I would imagine, that gets into it, their goal is to get a contract, go to AEW, WWE, whatever it might be. But to be on this list, which quite literally is the same list that you have guys like Seth Rollins or AJ Styles, Adam Cole, Kenny Omega, whoever it might be. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's something that, if people don't quite understand what independent wrestling is, or even professional wrestling, but you have this, ranking, if you will, which of course is subjective, but, at least in somebody's eyes, what I'm doing and, the efforts I've put forth are carrying me in the right direction. So, sorry, that's a long-winded response, but it is something that, it's not for nothing, if you will. That ranking does mean something, especially to me, and I'm sure a lot of other guys that are on the list too.
Before Mason asks your next question, I can tell you it meant a lot to the fans as well. We were delighted when we saw it, and we saw other people posted on Twitter as well. We were equally as excited as you were as well. So no, it was definitely a cool moment.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Being in the ring with some huge names like Tony Deppen, Joey Ryan, Robbie E., Teddy Hart, Jonathan Gresham, MJF, Tim Donst, and Mike Quackenbush, what has been your favorite match or matches in your wrestling career?
That is quite a list. I didn't realize. I forgot about some of those matches for a moment there. But especially with names like that, I kind of touched on it with Gresham, but it's something where you're excited for the moment, and that's fine and well. But you have to make sure you control that excitement. You have to, kind of keep your head on straight, because these guys are, longtime professionals. They've been doing it for a while, and it's a great learning experience more than anything, because you can see how their brain ticks. You can see, their thought process when going into a match, going into a different atmosphere, performing in front of different crowds. And so you really get to gain their perspective and kind of see, what their thought process is, and it shows you, how they got to where they are, how they have the name that they have, because they've put in that time as well. They study wrestling more than probably anybody because, it's in their blood, and that's why their names are what they are. And for me, getting the opportunities that I've gotten to be with those guys, it's something I'm forever grateful for because, I never would have thought in a million years, even at this level without having a contract, if you will, being able to get in the ring with some of these guys, it's like, whoa, this isn't just something anybody can say they get to do, which is why I am so grateful for it. And I am happy that, those opportunities have been afforded to me. And it's especially exciting when I'm in there with guys that I'm close with, like Tim Donst, where, I get some of his thoughts and he can bounce some things off of me. And it's like a collaborative effort. And then some of those other names too, like guys that have been on TV, like you said, Robbie E, or guys like Mike Quackenbush. He is a legend in wrestling, and all of the guys that have been under his learning tree coming up through Shikara, whether it's, like AEW ref Bryce Remsburg, or if it's, Cesaro, the list goes on. Drew Gulak's another guy. There's so many guys that came from his learning tree, and it's just a fortunate opportunity for myself that I got to be in there with them. I could go on and on about those guys. It's something where, I think even the one Gresham match, it was just kind of like, oh, Gresham's opponent dropped out. Who's here? Oh, bro, you're here. You want to do it? And it's just kind of like, well, duh, I want to do it. Yeah, let's make this happen. So even in that, I didn't have time to think about it. I was just like, yeah, let's go. I'm ready. So yeah, I'm super grateful for all the promoters for even just having faith in me to get in the ring with those guys, let alone, giving us time. So yeah, I can't thank them enough for even being patient with me and kind of helping me along the way as well.
If you could wrestle or tag with anyone, who would that person be?
Oh, that is a loaded question. That's tough. There's probably a couple different. Are we talking past and present, dead and alive, or is this just current wrestlers?
Whoever you want it to be.
Man, you guys, this is great. I love it. So, all right, I would say I'll start now with current wrestlers. Probably, I would say, in my opinion, the greatest wrestler on the planet at this given moment would be Adam Cole. So, if I could get in the ring with him, these are tag matches, you said, right? If I could tag with him?
Or against.
Boom. Either way, he's a win-win. I'll tag with him or I'll go against him. It doesn't matter. Just being able to get into the ring with that guy. Another Lancaster dude, by the way. We have a lot of wrestlers from here, which is incredible.
I'd forgotten that, actually. I have a teaching friend who, she doesn't actually work at my school anymore, but she's actually from Lancaster. And she's a similar age to Adam Cole. So I actually did ask her. I was like, because I don't know how many high schools are in Lancaster. I did ask, did you go to school with, and I can't remember his real name. And she said no. But yeah, I'd forgotten he was from Lancaster.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And actually, I get to hang out with his brother a good bit, too, because he lives right down the block as well.
Huh.
So, yeah, I've had a lot of fortunate opportunities to, just kind of mingle with Cole and, pick his brain on certain things. And another guy that's been very giving with his knowledge. He's kind of like a prodigy, if you will, in terms of wrestling, because he's done so much. He's still so young and has so much career ahead of him.
Yeah.
That, he's somebody he's so kind and so giving. So it's nice to, have a resource like that. If I ever need to, really approach somebody with a decision or, a thought that I might have. But yeah, and he's definitely somebody that I would love to be in the ring with. But who else could there be? Definitely if we're talking past, Mr. Perfect is somebody I'd want to get in the ring with. He's a guy that I've kind of emulated a little bit in terms of my move set. So he's definitely somebody, RIP, because he seemed like he was an amazing guy, whether it was in the ring or backstage. He's somebody that, a lot of guys always talk highly of. So Mr. Perfect is definitely on the list.
Tell me while you're thinking, let me tell you about one other wrestler that I had not really made a connection with before. But when I saw that entrance at Nova Pro, the energy that he came out with, it really reminded me of Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, it's funny you say that because I've definitely looked into that a little bit because I've heard a couple people tell me that. They're like, oh, dude, if you had face paint, that feels pretty Warrior-esque. So I've thought about using face paint here and there, just kind of give it a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But no, I can appreciate that. I mean, that dude was jacked. He was over with the fans. I mean, he's a guy that a lot of people loved. And, I mean, he's got the award named after him now, too. So
we know you know Savage Gentleman from ASW and Primetime Pro. Have you tried the PB Egg Challenge? And do you have any weird foods you like to eat?
So I can't honestly say that I have tried the peanut butter egg challenge. I'm not opposed to it, though. It's just, for whatever reason, I just never, when I'm making my eggs, never even think about putting the peanut butter on them. So, as delicious as I'm sure it probably is, I still have yet to try it, but I'm not saying I'm opposed to it. But yeah, in terms of weird foods, I feel like I don't want to say picked on a lot, but I get picked on a lot with weird foods because my dad's from the South. So there's definitely some different foods that he kind of grew up with and introduced me to that probably everybody else wouldn't necessarily be a fan of. So anything with vinegar in it, give it my way. I'm taking that. I'm all about the vinegar. We used to eat as a snack when I was a kid, pickled pig's feet. So that was my go-to.
I've never heard of them as pickled. Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. In terms of weird foods, I think that's probably at the top of the list. I'll take pickled pig's feet any day of the week. Those things are slamming.
That's going to take some beating. We just left this in now. We found that this is the most entertaining question. It wasn't deliberate originally, but every time we ask it, we always get an interesting answer, so we're going to leave it in there. Now, I have a related follow-up question. On one of the MGB reviews that we did, we heard about the Breaux Keller diet. Any ideas what that was? Can you remember? I think it was a conversation with Shazza McKenzie, I think.
Oh, my goodness. I mean,
I have the answer written down, but I was curious if it was still a thing or not.
I mean, that's a good one. I honestly am trying to think about that.
Shall I let you off the hook then?
Sure. I would appreciate that. Yeah.
All right. It was cookies and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's definitely not wrong. I love all the above. Chocolate chip cookies are my jam. I will eat those quite literally at any time of the day. Love me some cookies. And peanut butter and jellies, who doesn't like PB&J? I'm hoping you guys like PB&Js.
But he does. I'm not a big fan. It's not a big thing in England. I'm not a big peanut butter person. I tried the peanut butter egg challenge, but that's as far as it went.
Okay, that's fair. At least you tried it, though. I'll give you that.
We know you have tattoos, so what are the most significant ones for you?
So, I mean, all of them kind of represent their own, story, if you will. My very first one was the one you see on my back with the wings, and that story isn't quite as exciting or as cool as probably other people's tattoo stories, but no, I really wanted one. I was 17. You got to be 18 to get one in the U.S., so my mom had to sign off for it. And that was probably one of the most excruciating moments of my life, was getting that tattoo, because it just felt like a hot knife running through my spine the whole time. So that one definitely hurt. It wasn't the most fun experiences, but the guy that did it was, talk about a legend. That dude was awesome. He told me he wanted to be the first guy to see to reach the age of 200. So props to him if he gets there, but I'm not sure if that's necessarily going to be in the cards for him. But no, the one on my arm, I can say, is probably the most meaningful one, because if you don't know what it says, though no one can go back and create a brand new start, anyone can start now and create a brand new end. So quite literally, every day is a new start. Every moment's a new start. It's just all about your mindset in terms of moving forward. I know I probably sound like a cornball saying this, but It's something that I truthfully do believe, and it's something that I think everybody, even if you're not always conscious of it, if you just, try to think about it here and there, try to be aware of, you know what, maybe I didn't have one of my finer moments, or maybe that wasn't how I wanted to handle that situation, or whatever the case might be. It's all dependent upon how you move forward from it, how you learn from it, how you grow from it. So that's probably the most meaningful one to me. The one on my side is pretty meaningful as well. It's the Celtic knot, representing me and my brother and my sister. So that's something that I cherish as well. But definitely the one on my arm, because it's so universal, and I think everybody can definitely take something away from that.
Now, our favourite questions always come from Jackson, because we always ask him, hey, do you have any questions for, because we're going to interview somebody today. He's asked, what's your favourite cereal? What's your favourite store? Do you like the smell of trash? You never quite know what he's going to go with. So he had one question for you, bro. He wants to know, what is 79 times 10?
Oh, 790.
There you go. The maths teacher here. I will agree with that. I don't know why he suddenly came up with that question. I know he's doing his times tables right now, but that was his one question. Of all the things he could have asked you, he wants to ask you a times table question, so that worked fine. Now,
right on, Jackson.
Now, we normally ask, do you play any sports in college? Now, you already talked about football, we know that. So I'm going to change the question. I'm going to steal your question partly. We know that you did track in college. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, what events did you do? Because that's one thing I certainly don't know.
Yeah, I can certainly. So I started in probably middle school running track, and I wasn't really all that good. I tried to be like a jumper, and I kind of did well, kind of run of the mill. And as we got into high school, I didn't really hit my growth spurt yet. I was a tiny, scrawny little twerp. And probably, the summer between sophomore year of high school and junior year of high school, I hit this awesome growth spurt. And I think, probably the first meet we had, I just came out and surprised everybody in the event that I, at that point was kind of new to, but grasped onto and stuck through to college, was the hurdles. Ah. So I did the 110 meter high hurdles, and then in Pennsylvania for high school, they were the 300 meter intermediate hurdles. But then once you get to college, it's the 400 intermediate hurdles, which for people that don't know, that's one full lap around the track.
Yep.
It's 400 meters. So yeah, that was my go-to. I also ran the open 400 without the hurdles. I ran the 200 a few times. I ran the 500 indoors. I ran the 800. So I was kind of, jack of all trades, if you will. But no, that was, if you don't mind me going into it a little bit, that was probably one of the biggest reasons I even got into professional wrestling, because very heart-wrenching for me, if you will. It's kind of a personal story. Was my senior year, I was at the national meet, the NCAA meet for the intermediate hurdles, and I was out in Colorado. The first night we were there, and actually the second night we were there, I ran the preliminaries, and thankfully I qualified to be in the finals. So another day goes by, and that Saturday I was in the finals. Top 8 reached All-American status, and I think I got fifth or sixth at this point. That detail's kind of out of my mind, because I finished the race, crossed the finish line, walked to the infield. They're checking everybody's names. They're checking their jerseys and their bib numbers to make sure they are who they are. And they're like, Michal. And I was like, yes. So I walked over. We were going to the podium, and then an official approached me, and he asked me my name then as well. And I told him, yes, that's me. And he was like, all right, you're disqualified. And when you hear that, you kind of think, this guy's teasing me because, last meet of my career. But no, they had actually ruled that I was disqualified, because in hurdles, you're technically supposed to quite literally go over the hurdle. But in this instance, they said over the second hurdle, I'd actually hooked my leg around it instead of pulling it over.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very tough pill to swallow. We had it on film, and we tried to challenge it, but they wouldn't allow that. So quite quite honestly, my last memories of track were pretty difficult and very tough for me. That kind of sent me, into a very sad state. I that night I probably could only get like 10 words out of my mouth because I was just so distraught. And yeah, that was just a very difficult time. So I didn't feel like my athletic career was completed yet. It kind of ended, and it stalled out because I didn't reach the achievement that I wanted to get that season. And to end your career being disqualified at the national meet is, it's kind of gut wrenching.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was tough for me, and I kind of, I dabbled in like playing baseball after I graduated, and just kind of doing, other sports here and there. But when the opportunity to be, a wrestler came up, I was like, I'm going to regret not doing this because it's something I've loved for so long. And now that the opportunity had shown itself, I was like, I got to do it. So to give you a long-winded answer there, I ran quite a few events, but hurdles was kind of my forte. And yeah, it just didn't quite end the way I'd hoped.
That's tough when you don't get to end it on your own terms like that. And that's brutal. All right, Mason.
What advice would you give to a young wrestler?
Be patient. That's probably, in terms of knee-jerk reaction, being patient. I know you see so many of these guys that get into it and they think, oh, I can do what that guy does, or I can do what she's doing in the ring, whatever the case might be. But, they get out there and it's way different than what they had been expecting because they don't realize, like, oh, you go through these spots and maybe if somebody forgets something, what happens? What do? You can't just freeze. Like, you have to at least try to cover that up or try to, advance the match forward. And maybe guys know they're not getting the push that they might have wanted. And so there's so many different aspects that go into it. And you have to be patient to either wait for your time to show itself, or just be patient in terms of, learning everything. Because, like I said before, it's like you have to maintain that diet. You have to be in the gym. You have to be training because you can't just not train, get in a ring, and expect to put on this 5-star match. You have to practice. And even in terms of injuries, I've had a few in my wrestling career, but I never wanted to necessarily rush back in and then make them worse and then set myself back even further. So I think in so many different ways, being patient has helped me. And if that's something that I could pass along to anybody else, that's probably one word that I could, relay to anybody, quite literally, that's in wrestling. Just even get through matches, people want to rush, like I said before, like they want to rush to the next spot, or you see them just thinking about like what's next. Just embrace that moment. Be patient with, where things are going. You have, whatever amount of time you've been allotted for the match. Take advantage of that. If you have 5 minutes, maybe think of ways that you can get yourself over, get your opponent over, and really make a name with the crowd, because not everybody's going to have, 15, 20 minutes when they get to the show. So that's probably the best piece of advice that I could recommend.
Who is your favorite teacher?
Oh, man. Now we're getting to the hard-hitting questions. Favorite teacher in school? You know what? That's actually not that hard. I had two. My 5th grade teacher, Mrs. K.S., she was awesome. She was, I guess in 5th grade, I don't really recall going to too many subjects. She was kind of like the jack of all trades herself. But
yeah.
She was amazing. So cool, super in touch with all the students. Like I was saying, she's just really in touch with the students, their home lives, staying in communication with the parents. She was so cool. And then I had this professor in college. He taught sociology. And let me tell you, that dude was unlike anybody I've ever met before in my life. He was probably best friends with the tattoo artist that wanted to see 200, because his mindset towards life was just so unreal. He was just such a nice guy, super easygoing, and he was just very forward in his communication. He didn't like beat around the bush. He wasn't trying to, be this teacher that, was getting the accolades and whatnot through the state system or whatever. He quite literally just wanted to see his students benefit, and he wanted to give them the knowledge that they're paying for, if you will, for a college degree. But yeah, he was awesome.
Thanks, bro, for being on. Is there where can we find you on social media, and is there anything else you would like to plug?
I'd like to plug a thank you to you guys for having me on, for starters. But yeah, in terms of social media, I mean, everything is pretty straightforward for me. Whether it's Twitter, it's at Breaux Keller, BREAUX Keller, KELLER. Same with Instagram, at Breaux Keller. Snapchat, at Breaux Keller. Facebook, guess what? At Breaux Keller. So it's all pretty fluid, if you will.
That's awesome that you didn't have to put the real Breaux Keller or Bro_Keller or something like that. You actually got in there first. That works perfectly. Thank you so much, bro. We really appreciate you spending this time with us tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you giving me the time and letting me give you some long-winded answers.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from them.
Goodbye.
The music was Zigzag by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. HTTP creativecommons.org/licenses/by/3.0/
All right, match 4. O'Shea Edwards versus Breaux Keller. Now, I already mentioned I was wearing my Breaux shirt, so I was really excited to see Breaux for this one. And I already mentioned that O'Shea is in the dojo. Now, I did see a couple of things with O'Shea. He had one thing on the side of his shorts that said, "Deny me now." And I also saw on his shirt, it said, "The Big Bad Kaiju." Because I actually asked you, I was like, "Do you know what kaiju is?" And you're like, "No, I got no idea." And I had no idea what it was either. Anyway, I looked it up. Kaiju is a Japanese film genre that features giant monsters. That makes sense. O'Shea's a big character, right?
Yeah.
I've never heard that word kaiju before. So anyway, I'm sure people that like anime and Japanese culture probably knew what that was. I certainly didn't know what that was, but I thought that fitted in with it perfectly. All right, tell us about the match.
So Breaux, he flies, and then O'Shea catches him and throws him into the post head first.
Mm-hmm.
And then time runs out, and then O'Shea wants, he won't let go of the submission hold.
Mm-hmm.
But then the ref, he disqualifies O'Shea.
I didn't understand that. Now, there wasn't a time limit to these events, but so what happened if it was a tie? And I guess we don't know the answer to that. So he only got disqualified because he didn't let go? Like, the match already finished, though. I don't think you can be disqualified after the match is... Anyway, it was obviously setting up for something different, but yeah. I thought Breaux handled himself really well in this one, because O'Shea was clearly the bigger guy. But he got his moves in as well. He did some moves from the top rope. I'm going to say he often caught him. He did slam him. When you said slam him into the post, are you talking about the one that was on the outside of the ring or the inside of the ring?
Outside.
Okay, and that's what I figured. Yeah, they had the posts that obviously support the roof and stuff. But yeah, he got everyone out of the way because the cameraman was in the way at one point, and he's like, "Get out of the way." And I actually saw that again on Twitter last night. You can see my blue shoes on the film. That's like the lowest level of fame possible, but you can see my blue shoes on the guardrail because they kind of stand out a little bit. But yes, I thought that's what you were talking about. All right, match 6. The second semi-final was between Ariella Nix and Breaux Keller.
So Ariella Nix, she tries to pin him with the feet on the rope this time.
Mm-hmm. Buff ref was all onto that. He said straight away, he's like, "No, get your feet down." Yep, I saw it. No.
And then Breaux Keller doesn't want to hit Ariella to get out of a hold.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yeah, and then he just slams her into her face into the turnbuckle thing, and
he
then
did
jumps
eventually.
on her. and then that Bro wins.
I liked how they set that up to begin with, that Bro's such a good guy and he's such a face that he didn't want to hit the woman, even though it's obviously intergender wrestling. He felt kind of bad about it, but then eventually he's just like, I got to. And then, So he made it into the final, so we knew now that it was going to be Bro versus Isaiah Frazier. Now, Ariel and Nix tweeted afterwards, losing tonight at Primetime Pro gave me a really good idea. I promise you all that at the next show I'm not coming alone. Ooh.
Coach Gator's coming back.
Could be. That would have been the person she went before. All right, match 8. So this is the final then. This is Breaux Keller versus Isaiah Frazier. And there is a title belt for this one as well. If I remember correctly, someone complained that Australia was missing from the map of the world that was on the belt. But anyway, okay.
It was?
I don't know. I didn't actually look that closely. I just remember seeing it, and I don't really pay attention to details like that.
How do they, I don't pay attention that much to see, look, if every single country's on there.
Well, I wasn't either. Australia's pretty big,
Continent.
but it was kind of, I don't know, it wasn't like the rectangular thing, it was like the circular side, so you can't fit everything on anyway, so.
So there was a whole bunch of kick-outs and close twos, and then, Breaux Keller, he did, a cutter on the apron.
Uh-huh.
And then, more 2 counts, and then staring at the match, and then...
Go on.
And then Bro wins.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. This was like the best match we've ever seen.
I was so
And as soon as you started, I'm like, you're not going to mention the fact that the cheering, the crowd, you didn't mention that one time. I commented that the atmosphere was, I think, the best atmosphere I've ever been to. Like, everyone was cheering for Bro, everyone was cheering for Isaiah, and then there was alternate chants, Isaiah, Bro. It was really Kerman actually tweeted about it as well. He posted the video. It's really loud. The fact that this was the debut match for this, the debut tournament for this group, that atmosphere was electric. It was obviously people who knew both those characters before.
Yeah.
I've never seen it so equally split as that. 2 people who are both faces as well. Normally the criticism from WWE is like Vince doesn't like to put face versus face because it doesn't make a good match. They couldn't be more wrong on the basis of this one. They stopped at different points. You actually said, I just saw Bro mouth something to Isaiah, like, isn't this fun or something like that. I thought you were going to mention that.
Yeah, he did.
And you could tell they were smiling at each other. They were kind of doing handshakes with each other. They'd have a series of moves that were brilliant, and then it would sort of be both on the floor, and then as they get up, everyone was cheering, and
Even
they'd do
the
like a handshake.
clapped.
The ref was clapping. I pointed that one out to you. Yeah, Todd Myers was there on the side clapping as well. You don't often see that. Everyone was so into that match. Those guys gave everything.
Oh yeah, and Mikey Banker. So one time Isaiah kicked out of a Falcon Arrow, and then Mikey Banker, you could see he was next to the curtain. He was so surprised. He had his hands on his head and then walked into the back.
Yeah, there was a lot of kickouts at 2, and each time it was whoever you were rooting for, you thought they'd won or you thought they'd lost multiple times in this one. The show was great. Yeah. It was absolutely brilliant, and we talked about the heat. It was tough even to do 1 match. These guys had to do 3 matches. So, and that last match, there was no time limit. I don't know how long it went on, but it wasn't a short match.
Imagine if O'Shea had to wrestle, if he won the whole thing, he would have had to wrestle 5.
Correct, yeah, he would have had even more to do as well. And as you talked about O'Shea then, as you're not going to talk about it, I guess I will. So after the match, they did have the, O'Shea actually tried to come out, because I think he felt cheated by it, and they had everybody there trying to push him back, and anyway, he went back.
Oh yeah, there was another thing. So there was this masked guy that was on the outside throat slashing and pointing at them. I thought he was about to interfere after that match, but it was O'Shea that actually interfered.
And that would have been the next thing I was going to say. I got that written down. How hot is it to want to wear that and not even being part of it? Because we were like, oh, he's going to come in. He has to. Why would you wear that? Perhaps he didn't realize it was going to be as hot as that.
Because when we walked out, we saw him cutting a promo with the documentary people. Remember that?
Oh, we did. So, perhaps he is something to do with that. So we might find out more about that later. All right. Afterwards on Twitter, I posted congratulations to @Breaux Keller, the inaugural @Primetime PW champion, but also to @GiftedIF for making the final a great one. I have not heard a reaction like that from the crowd to both competitors anywhere. Never mind on a debut show. # both these guys. That was one of the other chants as well. We did have those alternate chants, but we also had a chant of both these guys. Absolutely fantastic. And literally 2 minutes before we came on to record, Bro actually responded to that. He said, "Thank you so much. What a surreal day. I couldn't agree more with the emotion and passion I felt in the room. Absolutely incredible and humbling afternoon." And I thought about that while they were actually wrestling. I was like, you talk about the wrestlers, clearly they don't make a lot of money from this. It's something that's a real passion for them. And they've said one of their big things is the reaction of the crowd. I can't imagine a bigger reaction than that. That must have felt so cool hearing your name chanted out like that. Seeing people with your face on their t-shirt. There was just a lot of cool things in that. And both those guys deserve that. Both of those guys have to be moving up onto the next level, you would think. Alright, match 8 was the main event. This is Breaux Keller versus Jayden Newman. Breaux Keller won the championship at the last event. So Jayden Newman was the new challenger. And on Twitter, his bio says, pro wrestler at Crux Wrestling / at TWE_Chattanooga. Hashtag #1. He said on Twitter, I'm going to prove true everything you have heard about me. I am #1. And I did actually see on Twitter as well, Kerry Awful, who's part of the Carnies. He said it was like a real highlight getting to watch him. It was like, you should really watch him. He's like really good. I'm not doing justice to the quote because I didn't actually write it down. All right, talk to us about this one then.
So, Breaux Keller kicks out and Jayden, he blames it all on me.
I remember he kind of pointed at you.
Yeah, he first points at Mayday. He's like, no, it's the kid's fault.
Seems fair enough.
Yeah. And, so my hands are hurting from clapping so much, and I'm not the only one.
We're not.
Yeah.
As soon as Jayden came in, we did the famous Breaux Keller clap. We didn't give him a chance to even talk. Actually, there was a lot of booing as well, like, boo! We didn't give him a chance to talk, and then we did the... That happened, and we were doing it really loud. And he, of course, he was playing the heel character, and he's like, stop! And we constantly did that throughout the match. Maddie did request the fact that even though she couldn't make it, could somebody at least shout out something? I think she said vile or something like that. And I said, we didn't manage to do that, but we did clap until our hands were really hurting. And then we took like a little break. They said this match, I forgot at the start, they said this match has a time limit of 1 hour. And I was like, oh my gosh, how long is this going on? And my first thought was, why would you say an hour unless it's going over 30 minutes? Because otherwise you could just say 30 minutes is the time limit. So I was like, we need to pace ourselves, or our hands. We did. My hands were really hurting at the end, constantly doing that clap. But the pop for Breaux, phenomenal. Everyone's totally behind him. I felt bad because I didn't wear my Breaux Keller shirt on this time, and Maddie wasn't there either, so she didn't have her Breaux Keller shirt, but certainly in terms of the clapping, there was a lot, so I think everybody got behind him. I didn't think for 1 second Breaux was going to lose this match, though. I always thought that Breaux was going to win this, because I still think at some point there was going to be the setup, obviously the O'Shea incident from last time, but I still thought it was a good match. Alright, talk to us a little bit more about the match then.
So, first, I like how Savage Gentleman makes people stop clapping. He just puts their hands together with his hands.
He's got a few little things like that. I didn't have the pen and paper. I noticed another one that he did as well during his match, and I was like, oh, that's really clever. And I can't remember what it is. No, Savage Gentleman is really good at doing things like that around the... Great interactivity with the crowd. Obviously, he's not playing a part in the ring at that point, so he can do anything he likes, but yeah, that's a great touch.
So, and then Breaux wins with a code breaker.
Oh, please. That's not the only thing you have for this match.
I know, it's not.
Okay, thank goodness. Oh, you got things for after the match as well. Oh, brilliant.
Okay.
This was a great match.
I was into it, that's why.
Alright, fair enough. It was a good one. This will, I'm sure, be on Independent Wrestling TV as well, so you can definitely go and watch that. Alright, I guess you're going to steal all my notes, so go on, keep going then.
Oh, he comes out and attacks Breaux.
He did, and he was siding, obviously, with Jayden Newman as well. And that's going to be a team. They're going to be called Southern Hospitality. And actually, at that point, Coach Gator came... At that point, Mr. Gator came back into the ring, and Breaux basically told him, no, don't suspend him. I don't want you to suspend him anymore. I basically want him. That's a tag team over there. I want a tag team match. And actually, all the other wrestlers from the back had come out to help him at this point as well. That's why Breaux didn't continually get beat down. And so he said, who's your partner? And they were pointing to different people. There was a big chant for Isaiah, and I thought, that's it. It's going to be Isaiah Frazier. And then they were kind of pointing at other people, and Cabana Man Dan was kind of like, no, look, I know it's not going to be me, but it was like, oh, it's nice of you to even mention it. And they went to different people. And he's like, Isaiah, he's like, I love you, but it's not going to be you. I have somebody else in mind. And I was thinking, I wonder who it is. Tim Donst. I was like, oh, brilliant. Perfect. They obviously fought at Flying V as well. The only thing they didn't say is, though, for that match, I think we need Tim frickin' Donst. I don't think it's going to be safety first Tim Donst, because I don't think that works with O'Shea Edwards' character. I love safety first, though. Same when it was Nick Gage at Nova Pro. Who did we have? Tim frickin' Donst. So, I don't know. I'm happy that Tim Donst is coming back. I did wonder, with him not being at the first two, I was like, I wonder if they're not because a lot of the Nova Pro characters have sort of come back. I was like, perhaps he's not available, doesn't want to do it. I don't know. Well, I'm really excited for Tim Donst coming back. I think that's going to be really good. All right, match 5 then, I guess. Oh, no, are we at intermission yet?
No.
No, okay, match 5.
Jayden Newman and O'Shea Edwards versus Breaux Keller and Tim Donst.
So one of the things that we did want to know about this one was it going to be safety first? Because it was like, should we take the helmet? Should we take the safety hat? Should we take the vest? All that stuff. I had a feeling it probably wasn't going to be, because otherwise they would have advertised it probably as safety first Tim Donst. And as soon as he came out, it was obvious that it wasn't. And this stems from actually one of the matches. I think it was the second event. I think it was O'Shea versus Breaux, and or was it versus Jayden? I'm sorry, versus Jayden. I think O'Shea interfered, and he said he was going to bring in Tim Donst to help him.
Bro, he goes into a DDT position, and then he runs on the ropes, and then does a DDT. I can't remember what that's called. And then he kicks O'Shea's face while running too. And then there's so much stuff going on, I just couldn't write it down.
There was a lot, yeah. And I'm going to say it was one of those where there was just so much going on that I'm trying to remember. There was definitely spots though near us. I remember they came to the outside, that was for sure. Oh. The one I remember more than anything was it looked like Tim was going to do a suicide dive to the outside. He didn't. He stopped. I think he lowered the top rope a little bit, and then Breaux went and then dived over the top of Tim and then to the outside and took everybody out.
I thought it was the other way around.
No, because it was more like a safety first thing. Because he wasn't quite being safety first, but he stopped from doing the dive when it first looked like it. And the barricades got pushed into us. Oh, I know one thing for this one. There was a lot more room to move around. That second one we went to, front row, you couldn't even get into the front row. There was like no room. The bars were right next to the front of the chairs. For this one, we had a lot of room. I don't know if there was one less row or something. I'm not sure. I doubt it. But unless everything was scooted back a little bit. But yeah, it was nice that we could kind of put your hands up against the rail or your feet on the bottom of the rail to make sure it didn't get pushed into your shins, which I don't want to happen again.
I was okay.
You were okay.
And that's all I had. I didn't get the finish. All I know was that Breaux won.
Breaux won?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I can't remember. Yeah, I'm struggling for this
O'Shea won because he gets to face Breaux in a championship match.
That would make more sense.
And then he attacked Breaux Keller.
I'm sure I knew it. I'm sure for something of this, there must have been some underhand tactics used. I just can't remember what it was. But that wasn't my side. I wasn't recording that side. So I was like, that's fine. That's all
I have good notes for everything else. But
oh, that's good.
So this is probably too much.
Alright, match 10 then. The Primetime Pro Wrestling Championship. Lumberjack match. Breaux Keller versus O'Shea Edwards. We've already talked about these people multiple times, so go ahead, tell us about the match.
I like how they have like half of the Lumberjacks on O'Shea's side and half of the Lumberjacks are on Breaux's side.
As far as I could tell, it was the heels and the faces.
Yeah.
Like, the faces were on Breaux's side and the heels were on O'Shea's side.
And so, there's it says Bad Jack's Bull O'Shea out of the way.
What?
I don't know.
Do you want me to do like Jackson, have a read of your notes, see if I can figure it out? Alright, let's have a look.
There. Right there.
Oh, the next line. But on Breaux's side. That could be Bad Jocks, I don't know. But O'Shea on the out of the way of Breaux. I have no idea what that is. That looks like the word bull next to O'Shea.
I think it is.
Bull O'Shea? Out of the way. I'm trying to think of a similar word that would mean like that.
Bull
Like
O'Shea out of the way.
If it is, that's like a Jackson letter. You got it upside down. I know Jackson does backwards letter. You do upside down letters. What is it?
So, Breaux is about to get he's about to jump on top of O'Shea, but they pull O'Shea out of the way. And then Breaux, he jumps into all of like the heel lumberjacks.
So when you do a P, you do it upside down now?
No.
So Jackson does backwards J's?
No.
And, wow, I've heard of like 5 and 6 year olds doing that. I've never heard of a nearly 12-year-old doing that. I think you're right though. I think that is the moment. I think it is pull, even though you write bull. Perhaps you had the paper upside down for a second as you were writing it. I don't know. Although that would be a D, I think, if that was true. All right, what else?
So O'Shea wins with the low blow when everybody is like on the outside going to the entrance. All the lumberjacks are fighting, so Kid Ref is looking at him, and he low blows Breaux, and then O'Shea wins. But O'Shea's about to get back into the ring because Breaux is complaining that he was cheating.
Yeah, challenged him to another match. Let's go.
He was about to get in, and then he just stuck the middle finger out.
That's kind of cool. I like that. The fans thought they were getting what they wanted, and they've got to wait. Now, I didn't actually write details down for the next event, which I should have done on January 18th. I believe they're actually having a cage match. So this time nobody can interfere, and I guess if it's in a cage, that would suggest that there's no DQ as well. So Breaux can get away with a little bit more as well, so it's going to be more like a street fight, I guess. So that's going to be kind of a cool one. There was one thing at the start that I really liked that you didn't mention, and I probably should have said right at the start. As Breaux came in, obviously he gets the whole crowd really hyped up, and he ran around. He told everyone in the crowd, stand up, on the side where we normally sit. And then he got Jay Lee Photography to come over as well, and he had his back to the crowd, and he was kind of like cheering and that, and he got all the crowd in there, so it was like it wasn't a selfie kind of thing, but because Jay Lee was there. But yeah, they took a photograph of him and the crowd there. It looked really cool, and there's definitely some people who we knew who were in that picture as well. But yeah, if we'd have been at that event, we probably would have been in that picture. That was right where we sat. But yeah, I think it's a real waste using Breaux as a heel. Mm-hmm. We saw him as a heel. He's such a good face. When you're as good as a face as that and you can get the crowd pumped up like that, I don't know why you'd ever need him as a... Some people have natural... Some people can play both. We've seen plenty of people that can do both equally well. But there's certain people who are better at being faces and some people who are better at being heels. I think there's enough heels at Primetime Pro Wrestling. Well, obviously that's why Breaux can be for there. But I'm sure at other events as well. I would never turn Breaux heel. I don't see the point.
Ethan Page is somebody that can easily do both.
Oh, he can easily do both, yeah. Franco's good at both as well.
Yeah.
I was shocked. When we saw him as a face that time, we were like, whoa! And he was totally over as a face at that organization.
He was a heel on Twitter.
Uh-huh. He absolutely was. No, some people can do it and can do both, and I'm sure it's fun if you can do both, but I think some people naturally tend to one side more than another side.
Benjamin.
And Benjamin can do it, yeah.
Griff.
But I definitely think I would want to keep people like Savage Gentleman as a heel character as well.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want to put him as a face, because I think he's better when he's mocking you, because he's a gentleman. He's like a higher prestige than what you are. So, yeah, there's certain characters where it makes sense to do that. Steel cage match, O'Shea Edwards versus Breaux Keller. Breaux had his own fan section for this one. I noticed before there was a photograph, because we went there, like at the start he kind of leant back with the fans and he took a photo. And he had his own fan section, they had pictures, they had everything there. So, alright, go ahead.
So before the match, Breaux kicks O'Shea on the outside, and there was when the bell rings, there's 4 chair shots by Breaux, and a poetry in motion by Breaux in the chair, and O'Shea ran full force head first straight into the cage, and Breaux is in an electric chair, and then he gets O'Shea into a face drop, and O'Shea hits Breaux with a kendo stick on the top, and it breaks, and Breaux, he does a fireman's carry to O'Shea, and Jayden interferes, then Tim Donst helps out Breaux, and Breaux Keller kicks out of the torture rack, and O'Shea zip ties Breaux to the rope and then just steps out.
Because of course there's no rules to this one, so he can't be disqualified. So yeah, he kind of got a cheap win out of it. Now I had some of the things that you mentioned, but they're in a slightly different. So I'm going to read what I had as well. One thing I thought that was interesting was this is the first time I've actually heard O'Shea Edwards booed. Normally it's like, oh, Shay, even though he's a heel, he's still very popular there, and he was actually booed when he brought out the trash can. So that was kind of surprising. He didn't care, of course,
it is Breaux Keller.
I understand that, but even so, they've had other matches and people have still been like, oh, Shay. Like, I understand it's face versus heel, but I thought it was kind of surprising. Drop kick before he even gets into the ring. So, yeah, Breaux was all up for this one. He had that hard edge to him and he could see he wanted to win. After the face buster, I thought Breaux should have just climbed out of the cage because that would have been a win as well. He could have easily done that, but he wanted to kind of torture O'Shea to pay him back for all the other things. So that was a bit of a mistake there. Powerbomb from the top rope. I put holy bleep for that one. The kendo stick. This was where I got my mention. A kendo stick to the dingo. And then I was like, get out of the cage when he got the chance. And he didn't do that either. And like you said, Jayden came out, Tim Donst came out, and that fits in perfectly with what happened in the previous matches as well. Because Jayden Newman interfered in one of the other ones, Tim Donst came out, so I thought that was a good continuity that related to that story.
One thing that Breaux could have done, well, at the very first few seconds of the match, O'Shea, he was looking back to like the fans. Breaux was right next to the door. He could have easily just slipped out before O'Shea would even look.
It could have been. All right, and that concluded the show. And like I say, we went out this one, so we can't talk about intermission or what we did afterwards. There are some more events that have been announced since we last reviewed Primetime Pro. Tickets are on sale for at Sean Ross Sapp Serve Tall on April 2 in Tampa. So that's the WrestleMania event. And also, this is an hour ago, literally just before we recorded. This is a gentle reminder that hashtag Butch vs. Gore is our first night show. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. at DC Brow. So normally when we've been DC Brow, it's been like 3:30, and I think it's been on a Sunday as well. So I think this one's on a Saturday, and it's at 6:30. So yeah, totally different.